Welcome back to Inspiring Builds. I'm Dan, and today we have one of the most exciting builds yet. We're going to build a DIY fireplace wall. We're going to take this wall from looking like this to this. Oh yeah, let's get started on the build.
This master bedroom had double crown molding with uplighting in the tray ceiling, so the plan was to build the fireplace wall 9 feet high and keep all of the crown. I strongly recommend to tape out the area and marking where the fireplace, mantel, and TV height will be if installing one. Take your time viewing the layout, and getting a good view of the fireplace from the bed was an important factor. Make any adjustments needed, and then I prefer to move on to SketchUp to build out the framing. If I get enough interest here, I will release detailed plans of the framing so you can duplicate the setup if you desire. Remove the TV and anything along the wall to have a clear work area. My right-hand man helped out with this heavy old plasma TV. I strongly believe it's important to work with and inspire the next generation. You can use a tape measure, but this laser one is quick and super accurate, coming in handy when measuring long distances solo. I will provide a link to it in the description below. I prefer to measure twice to get the total distance and then divide the number in half and make a mark on the wall for the center point, as the fireplace will be centered on this wall. Use a stud finder to locate and mark each stud location where the frame will be. The width of a stud is 1.5 inches, and 1x6 boards will be secured to the wall in the middle of each stud where the X is marked. A total of 5 studs here was marked out. Once all of the studs are marked, take a level and make a mark on each side of the 5 studs from floor to ceiling. I always trim the ends to ensure the lumber is square and I have a clean cut. A total of 4 1x6s will be secured to the wall to support the frame. Cut to the width of the frame at 67 inches. Use a speed square, and I believe in cutting once and measuring twice. Don't forget not to cut directly on a line, as your boards will come up short. You want the blade to be beside the cut line. In this instance, the blade will be to the right of the cut line. I found it much easier to temporarily secure the 1x6s to the wall with a brad nailer while using a level. To secure the 1x6s to the studs, I went to my go-to screws with a star drive head. I use these screws as they're easy to start, drive fast, have a precision fit, doesn't strip, and easy to countersink as shown without a countersink bit. I installed 2 screws into each stud and used my magnetic wristband to make quick work out of it. These wristbands are a game changer. To make it easy for you, all of the tools and supplies used, with most importantly the fireplace, will be linked in the description below. Repeat the same process for the other 3 for a total of 4. Strategically place them above the baseboard, around electrical outlets, and with the frame being narrow, I wanted to ensure I avoided one being behind the fireplace for clearance. For the sides of the frame, I started by attaching 2 9-foot 2x4s with 7 2.5-inch pieces sandwiched between to get the desired depth of the fireplace wall. Clamps are super helpful to align and hold everything in place. To attach the side frame, I used the same type of star drive head screws, but used 3 1/8-inch screws. 2 screws were used to secure the side frame in each 1x6. Repeat the process for the other side frame. The goal with this fireplace wall was to make it narrow in depth to maximize the square footage of the room, while also leaving enough clearance for the fireplace, and lastly, a depth that looked good with the corner sections of stone that will be used later in the video. Ensure to check that everything is plumb and level throughout the process. Once both of the side frames are up, the framing should look like this. To get the desired depth of the fireplace you want, just change the length of the 2x4 pieces sandwiched between the side frames. Moving on to the front frame, I continued to ensure everything was square. 2.5-inch screws were used for all of the framing except for attaching the sides to the wall. I framed up until the point where the fireplace goes, as I wanted to test fit the fireplace to make any needed small adjustments. I did my research and wanted a high quality, realistic smart fireplace that was easy to install for any DIYer from a company with a proven track record and excellent customer service. I went with the Sideline 50-inch Elite recessed electric fireplace model 80036 from Touchstone that I will provide a link to in the description below. I was blessed to collaborate with Touchstone for this build, and they provided the fireplace that was packaged very well. This fireplace can connect to your Wi-Fi and be operated by the easy-to-use app, as well as came with a remote. It has smart technology that is compatible with Amazon Alexa and Google Home, and best of all, their customer service is top-notch. Remove the glass panel prior to installation. There are 2 screws in the top vent opening, one on the far left and one on the far right that secure the left and right trim pieces in place. After removing the screws, tilt the glass panel away from the fireplace and lift the glass panel away from the fireplace to remove it. Store the glass panel in a soft, dry place until the end of the build. Before installing the fireplace, plug it in to test it to ensure that it operates properly. Remove the 2 brackets on each side of the flame area as shown. Keep the screws and brackets handy as they will be reinstalled later. These are the mounting holes to fasten the fireplace to the framing studs. Lay out the frame for the fireplace to align with the fireplace rough opening dimensions. Do a test fit first and make any small adjustments needed. I did another test with the frame standing up to allow the fireplace to be flush with the front opening. The width was fine, but I adjusted the height to 19 inches to avoid any rubbing. If installing a TV, I recommend having the TV mount to lay out the top of the front framing. I aligned the studs so that the studs left and right of the center stud was 24 inches on center. This made it easy for the TV mount to be anchored into studs and the TV mount to be centered on the fireplace wall. The front frame fit like a glove. I secured the front frame with several screws up the entire length to both side frames. With the help of a second person, insert the fireplace into the opening. Make sure the fireplace is level. Use the screws provided to fasten the fireplace to the framing studs, fastening down 2 screws on each side. Once the fireplace is secure, reinstall the 2 brackets removed earlier. The fireplace is now ready to have the crystals and/or logs placed inside of the fireplace. I relocated the outlet to the front of the new framed wall and aligned it around the new TV bracket. Consult an electrician if you are not comfortable doing it yourself. I had multiple vendors send me stone samples, and Qora was the winner I decided to collab with for this project for their color variation and time-saving installation. Qora Stone has 6 different color options for their ashlar stone. There were multiple good options, but ashlar stone in the carriage house color was selected. Qora also offers 4 different color options for their ashlar dry stack. You can't go wrong with either the stone or the dry stack, and I appreciate the partnership and Qora sending this stone for this project.
One of the advantages of selecting the ashlar stone was that in addition to the stone panels, they also carried corners.
The 90-degree outside corner pieces eliminates the need to miter panels and also creates the necessary offset pattern throughout the install for a natural look. I waited for the stone to arrive before finalizing the framing dimensions, as I only wanted to cut the corners and leave full panel sections in the middle. I used clamps to see how the product would look and to obtain inside dimensions to adjust the frame accordingly. I used the laser distance measurement tool to get the inner dimensions from one outside corner to the other. I originally had the frame at 72 inches and adjusted it down to 67 inches. This stone can be installed in the interior or exterior of your home. These features are designed to handle all of the possible environments where Qora can be installed and why Qora is approved for all climates by the International Building Code. Before installing this stone, I marked out how far the stone would sit on each side of the frame and used a multi-tool to remove a section of baseboard. I would also recommend unboxing and laying out all of the stone panels to get the final look you desire. Some panels were the same, so laying them out where the same size stones weren't next to each other, as well as aligning panels that had different color stones, for example a dark cornerstone against a lighter panel stone, was important. I spent a bit more time on the front end with prep work to save time on the back end and make it turn out better. Part of this was installing blockers in the frame, where I would screw in the stone panels using these cabinet screws that I purchased at the local big box store. These also have a star head for zero stripping and a washer head. You can cut the stone with a masonry blade using a cutoff grinder, circular saw, table saw, or jigsaw. Qora is hard, lasting a long time, but because it's thinner, the blades last a long time as well. I used a straight piece of plywood to mark my cut lines.
Before cutting Qora Stone, ensure to wear a mask, safety glasses, and set up an area with proper ventilation.
I would recommend outdoors if possible. With cutting 90-degree corners, I used a circular saw with a masonry blade. I took my time and test fit each corner I cut. I was impressed with the clean line and how well the cut line fit against the wall. I'll show one more cut to show the technique I used to cut the corner panels. Panels weigh less and install faster than stone. It's easy to cut with a variety of tools, and most of us have at least one or more available to use. No masonry is needed and can be installed with general carpentry skills and tools. It has hidden joints and fasteners for a seamless installation. It's indistinguishable from real stone, and with less labor, it will cost you less money. I started installing the stone, working my way from bottom to top, as I wanted the panels to strategically fit around the fireplace. Use spacers if needed to ensure the panel is level and secure with the star head cabinet screws. I liked how the first few panels aligned and secured to the blocking where the fastener covers go, and decided to install blocking between the studs for the rest of the panels. One side of the blocking needed to be toe-nailed in, so I prepped them all before taking them inside and standing on a ladder. To make this a bit easier, simply start the screw by driving it in straight and then drive it in at about a 30-degree angle, just enough where it barely protrudes through as shown. I marked out where all of the blocking needed to be installed, used a level, and drove in 2 screws on each side. This is how it should look with all of the blocking installed. I did one last thing for prep work, repurposing these 3/4 inch thick bed slats so the end result would look professional. I cut down the bed slats and slid them in the back of the side framing on each side and screwed them down. Some of the corner panels I did not cut did not sit flush against the wall, and this prep would make the mortar look great in the end. One takeaway installing the fireplace is I would not fasten the fireplace to the framing studs until the stone is installed. As you can see here, the gap wasn't enough behind the fireplace for a stone panel to fit. In addition, there was a small gap at the bottom that I needed to solve for. I went ahead and removed the screws. I pulled out the fireplace a bit, and after using 1/4 inch spacers, the fireplace aligned nicely with the stone. Insert the panel in the panel below, and when securing the panels, I don't fully secure the fasteners all the way to allow for a bit of movement if needed, as shown here. Ensure the panel is aligned and level, and then secure with fasteners. For the larger panels, use clamps if needed to help with the installation or when installing them solo. Here is an example showing fasteners not secured all the way, as the panel on the top is a tight fit. These drill bits with the hammer drill makes drilling through Qora Stone a breeze. I measured over to get the center of the electric outlet cover plate and then drilled through the stone. After making an outline of the cover plate, I drilled a hole in all 4 corners. A jigsaw made quick work of cutting the hole, even on a slow speed as I was recording with the other hand. During each of the cuts outside, I had my leaf blower beside me and cleaned off the panel in a couple of seconds before taking it inside. While the rest of the panels goes up, I wanted to thank you if you made it this far in the video. Leave a comment below with the word watermelon, and I'll know you made it to this point, and I will reply to your comment first. Now that all of the panels are installed, I fully secured all of the fasteners. I made sure each large panel had 6 fasteners, and the corners had at least 4. For face or surface fastening needed in any areas, I used tapered starhead multi-purpose screws, which were the same ones used for the framing. I only used 3 of these total on the stone, as the rest of the fasteners were installed in the fastener pockets where the fastener covers will hide them. Morflex is textured like mortar, but stretches like rubber. Apply it similar to caulk with a caulk gun, getting between all of the seams. It's satisfying getting to this point, as it's kind of like adding trim work to a house, which is where the project all starts to come together. It blended very well after allowing it to cure overnight. A total of 3 tubes was used. Fastener covers goes in the pocket where the 2 panels meet, bridging the panels and breaking up the seam. Similar to the stone panels, I recommend to lay out all of the fastener covers doing a test fit and ensuring you are satisfied with the color of the fastener cover next to the surrounding stones. Loctite adhesive will be used on the back of each fastener cover. Similar to the circular saw and jigsaw, a masonry blade will be needed for the cutoff grinder that I will use on the fastener covers. When lining up the fastener covers, I measured the distance, for example 4 1/8 inch, and took a ½ inch off, making my cut mark at 3 5/8 inch. I then marked a T for top and scribbled a line for the side of the fastener cover that was scrap. These quick clamps made the process much easier securing the small fastener covers while I used the cutoff grinder to cut and shape each fastener cover. To cut all the fastener covers at once, I marked them 1T, 2T, etc. to keep them in order. After all of them were cut, I double-checked the layout. One feedback for Qora is to put more lighter fastener covers in each pack. I had several extras, so it all worked out, but all the extras were a dark color. Similar to the mortar, apply the Loctite adhesive using a caulk gun. I think of it sort of like wood glue and brad nails, with brad nails holding it together, and wood glue being the strong permanent bond. Same concept here, with hitting each fastener cover with 2 brad nails and the adhesive being the strong permanent bond. Time lapses are satisfying. Don't forget to check out the left side of the fireplace wall as well when the front is complete. I used a laser level and already knew where the stud was located with installing the electric outlet, and knew the other stud left to the center one was 24 inches on center, as that's how the front frame was designed around the TV mount. Once all 4 drill holes are marked out, these drill bits make quick work and a vac next to it for easy cleanup. I will say I pitched the shorter mounting screws that came with the TV mount and purchased new ones from the local big box store that were 4 inches long, as I had to factor in the stone. It was only fitting for me to purchase a new TV and wall mount for this project. I went with the 55-inch Samsung TV and an ultra slim full motion TV mount. This mount is amazing and even includes cord management. The picture on the new Samsung did not disappoint either.
I've been pumped for this mantel to arrive from Pearl. Pearl Mantel was the 3rd and final company to collab with me and provided this mantel. The shipping was excellent that arrived stretch wrapped, banded, and braced on a pallet, and the inner packaging was equally as solid. This mantel is for use indoors or out and is the New River non-combustible mantel that is 60 inches long in the toasted rye color.
Carefully rotate the mantel so that the backside is facing up and take 2 measurements. The first measurement is from the bottom of the mantel to the mounting surface that rests on the metal mounting bracket. The second measurement is the concrete thickness from the bracket mounting surface to the top of the mantel. I measured 8 inches up from the fireplace, as that was the required clearance between the fireplace and mantel, and labeled this line as minimum. From the minimum mark, add the distance from the first measurement, which was 5 inches, and label this line as bracket. From the bracket mark, add the distance from the second measurement and label this line as mantel. Place a level on the line marked bracket and draw a 2 to 3 foot line parallel with the top of the level. With this being stone, I used a laser level and aligned the top of the painter's tape with the bracket line. Find the center of the fireplace and make a vertical line above the bracket and mantel. Label this C for center. The mounting bracket is a 3" by 2" angle. The 2" side attaches to the studs behind the mounting surface, and the 3" side is the top of the mounting bracket that supports the mantel. Flip the bracket around to observe the correct mounting position. I tested that the bracket fit inside the mantel and then measured the bracket to find the center. Mark a center line on the 3" side of the bracket. Locate the studs. With already locating the studs for the TV bracket, I aligned the laser with the mounting bolts on the TV bracket and made a vertical line mark. With this being a full motion TV mount, it made the job very easy. Transfer the stud location marks to the mounting bracket, and with this being a 60" mantel, mounting in a minimum of 3 studs is required. Use the plywood packing material underneath the mounting bracket and drill 2 holes on each stud location with the 1/8" metal drill bit. A vacuum or shop vac makes a fast and easy cleanup. Use one of the provided silver panhead wood screws to temporarily hold the mounting bracket to the wall. Check and adjust the mounting bracket with a level, and once level, secure the bracket with the remaining panhead wood screws. Tighten the screws until they are flush to the mounting bracket, but do not over-tighten them. Use 2 people to place the mantel on the mounting bracket and center it over the fireplace. Double check that the mantel is centered. 1 person is needed to hold the mantel in place, while the other secures the mantel to the mounting bracket. Make sure the mantel is flush and tight to the wall before using the self-drilling screws to fasten the mantel to the bracket. Use the green metal screws, and it requires some speed and pressure to penetrate the metal bracket, but then be ready to slow the drill speed as soon as the screw threads begin to bite into the metal. Slowly run the drill until the screw head is flush with the countersunk hole, and be sure not to over-tighten the screws past the countersink area. I recommend checking that the mantel is level after the first and final mounting screws. The touch-up kit comes with putty, paint, and a paintbrush. Use the putty to fill the countersink area from the screws. I just used a small Allen key Phillips combo tool I had laying around from the fireplace hardware. Use small amounts and avoid spreading the putty beyond the countersink areas. Use a damp rag to remove any extra putty on the mantel surface. Allow the putty to firm up a little before applying paint. Use the paintbrush and touch-up paint to cover the putty. Use light coats of paint to build up the color to match the factory coloring. A damp cloth can be used to blend the color and remove any excess paint. The only recommendation I would give to the vendor is changing the Phillips screws to a star drive head to drive easier and prevent any stripping. Overall, I was very impressed with the quality. This is a heavy-duty mantel and looks realistic with the look I was going for and matches the furniture in this room perfectly. There are multiple log sets and crystal options to choose from. Remove the log set from the fireplace. Once the log set is removed, a plastic strip will be beneath the log set. Carefully place the crystal embers on the plastic strip and apply an even layer from side to side. The fireplace comes with a remote as well as an app for a smartphone. It can be turned on or off by voice using Alexa or Google Home. There are 6 flame color options and 10 bed color options with 5 flame and light sensitivity settings and 3 flame settings. My favorite option is the included timer that will allow you to go to bed and set the timer for up to 8 hours. It has 2 heat settings with a controllable thermostat. This size fireplace can heat a 400 square foot room and can be used with or without heat. I also had the fire crackle speaker included, which was a very nice touch for a realistic look and sound. Once you have the setup you desire, the glass panel can be reinstalled. Fit the bottom of the glass panel into the slot in the bottom of the firebox. Once in place, push the top of the glass panel back toward the firebox. Secure the glass panel to the firebox using the 2 screws removed earlier in the top vent opening on each side. Let me know in the comments if you like the fireplace setting chosen here with the fire crackle speaker. I really appreciate you watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like, comment, share, and hit that notification bell so you can get notified when I release new videos.